if y'all could, if there are serious time constraints, if y'all could please let someone know, and I will try to make sure I get to y'all as fast as I can. Like I said, we are going to hear everyone today. So in that spirit, I would ask that you try to keep your talk to about 3 minutes. I'm not going to be some kind of evil time goblin and start barking or anything like that, but I will probably, after 3 minutes, kind of make a little noise, let y'all know, all right, need you to wrap up in about 30 seconds, okay? I'm not going to put a timer on them. I'm not that bad. But I just wanted to let y'all know that that's something that we are going to do. But let me start the meeting off like we normally do. I get to say good morning and welcome to the Jay's General Law Subcommittee. As a reminder, SCETV is here today providing internet streaming. Also, archived videos are posted online. We appreciate the services of SCETV personnel and that of our Legislative Services Agency that make these proceedings accessible to the public. At this time, I would like to ask that my fellow subcommittee members introduce themselves, starting with my left.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Kathy Landing, and I represent District 80, which is in Mount Pleasant, Charleston County.
Good afternoon. Jason Luck. I represent District 54, which is Marlboro, Darlington, Chesterfield, and Dillon counties.
Also on the committee, John McCravey and Rosalind Henderson Myers. Ms. Myers may join us. Mr. McCravey could not be here this afternoon, and he told me to let everyone know that he's been excused, but he just couldn't be here this afternoon. Let me start off by saying something, ladies and gentlemen. I've been, I appreciate all the text, emails, and phone calls I got over the weekend and have continued to get. About 85% of those wish me a happy birthday. That was very nice of everyone. Thank you very much. It's very sweet and very kind. I want y'all to know that I took it very, I've looked through every single thing. I've responded to as many people as I could. And it has been on me, this bill and the situation that we're in. So I just want to say this real quick, and this is my opinion. This is not the opinion of anyone else on the committee. I jotted some things down last night in the way, just trouble sleeping sometimes. Let me clearly say this to every person that may be listening, every individual who is struggling with addiction, every family carrying that burden, every parent, spouse, or child who feels the weight of this fight. We understand. We recognize the pain. We understand the desperation that so often accompanies addiction. And above all, we want you to know that there is hope. For some, kratom may seem like it was a lifeline. Perhaps it's an attempt to break free from opioids. Perhaps it was sought out in response to chronic pain, anxiety, depression, or the quiet suffering that often goes unseen. I do not dismiss that reality. I respect the fact that people who were not looking for harm, they were looking for relief. They were looking for a way to survive. But as lawmakers, we also carry a solemn responsibility to protect the health and safety of the people of South Carolina. And we cannot in good conscience allow unregulated substance to continue to be sold and marketed as though it were a proven solution when the risks remain uncertain and the potential for dependency is very real. This is not about punishment. This is not about turning our backs on those who are suffering. This is about making the hard choice between what is for the people and what is the right choice. This moment should not be seen as an abandonment. It should be seen as a turning point. Kratom is not the end of our treatment. It is an invitation to do something better. Real treatment, real support, real recovery. To anyone that is struggling today, I urge you to reach out to your physician. Speak with a licensed counselor and contact your support groups in your community. Excuse me. Recovery is not easy. It requires courage, honesty, and often it requires help from others. Because true recovery does not merely replace one dependency with another. True recovery addresses the deeper wound, the pain, the trauma, the loneliness, and the mental health struggles that often lie beneath addiction. Every South Carolinian deserves more than dependency. They deserve healing, they deserve dignity, and they deserve a real path forward. So today, sorry guys, I ask that this action not be viewed as a loss, but as a call to seek a lasting and helpful and lasting hope. You are not alone. Help is available. Having said that, I'm going to call our first speaker. And it looks like it's Wendy Crawley. Is Wendy here? Next speaker, I believe that's Aiden Harbor. I figured this. You good? Not here? Okay. No worries. Gabriel Coggins. Please come forward. Mr. Coggins, if you'll state your name, what you're speak about again, if you could do your best to try to keep it 3 minutes, and I'd appreciate that. Thank you so much, sir. Turn the mic on and speak into it loudly. Thank you.
Yes, my name is Gabriel Coggins. Thank you, representatives. Thank you, everybody else, for being here today. I'm from upstate South Carolina, from Greenville. And I appreciate your time and your attention on this very important matter. I'm 33 years old. I actually found sobriety in 2011. I was 19, so I found it younger than most do. That said, Kratom has been an integral part of my life for 15 years. I'm actually not even an active consumer now. I stand here alongside many others that are and that depend on it and that greatly need it. Botanical Kratom is something that I have safely consumed myself for 15 years. My mom, 71 years old, who will also testify today, she is also someone who has consumed it for 15 years. Combined, that's 30 years of safe consumption. I stand here today not needing it myself. I greatly benefited from it myself, but others with restriction to it, you're going to be hurting a lot of individuals. I understand it's a nuanced issue, that 7-OH is, it's an imitator. It's something that is adulterating this for a lot of good individuals that really need it. As you can see, I'm pretty choked up because, I mean, let's be frank, this is a matter that's going to affect people that are very close to me, myself specifically, but also my own mother, who's 71 and is able to function strictly because of it. Now, to give you a little bit of context, and I won't go too deeply into it, but when I was 15 in 2007, my father died of terminal lung cancer from cigarettes. Mind you, something, you all claim that Kratom is dangerous being sold in gas stations, albeit cigarettes still are. I don't see us having any adjourned meetings for that. So, they kill 500,000 per year. They have adequate labeling. I really praise everybody for the KCPA that was passed last year that required adequate labeling, that upped the age to 21. The thing that was overlooked through that was the removal of the synthetic 7-OH. There should have been upward limits that have been placed in that, and that language was actually in that original bill. So I have no idea why that was removed. You could have protected consumers that consume botanical kratom and have safely done so for years, while still providing continued access and also removing this dangerous substance off the streets. You guys are not going to be solving anything with this bill. You're just simply going to be shifting it to a black market, and it's going to be replaced with something that's significantly worse, and it's going to be more adulterated, less regulated, and it's going to lead to a lot more harm. I can guarantee that. Now, I thankfully found Kratom myself early into my sobriety. I also found it early into its popularity here in the United States, well before these insidious companies came along and exploited something that was safely consumed for thousands of years in Indonesia, Malaysia, and Thailand. I stand here today to say with full experience and confidence from myself that it was absolutely essential to my continued sobriety over these years. As mentioned, I don't even need it. I had shoulder surgery last year, January of 2025, and I did not need pharmaceutical opiates. If I had to have used pharmaceutical opiates, I very well may have relapsed. I, in fact, used Kratom. That helped me mitigate my pain. It helped me manage my pain through my PT, and here I am with an operable shoulder and not on Kratom. And I'm standing before you guys and I'm speaking to you sober, coherent, and also not pining for this substance that you're claiming is so addictive that it's, that people can't get away from the grasp of it. I'm just asking for a little bit of nuance and understanding. I understand that this issue needs to be tackled. I really do praise you all for it. I think the KCPA should be amended, and I think an upward limit on the amount of 7-OH in a substance should be specifically declared. But to villainize and demonize your constituents, and I'm effectively making what my mom is going to be a criminal for consuming kratom now. So it's not only just a criminal, but one that's going to be punishable with Schedule 1 repercussions. I'm sorry, guys, that's insane. It's absolutely insane. It's a misrepresentation of what your constituents are basically begging of you. I understand that there's a lot of, that myself, as far as my depth of knowledge, is only anecdotal and personal, but I stand here
Let's try to wrap up.
Okay.
sorry.
Well, I stand here before you saying I have 15 years of personal experience, 30 combined with my mother. So please take that to heart. Please take everybody's personal testimonial today to heart, and consider maybe not one of these other extremes. It doesn't have to be no ban or complete ban. There is some nuance that can be held. But thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the committee members? Thank you, sir. Luca Marvel or Marcel? Is it Marvel? Because if it is, is it?
Like the comics, yes.
Oh,
sir.
man.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Okay. All right.
All right. I'll go ahead and begin. As a show of my respect, I'm going to be timing myself. So stop me if I go over, but I have time. This should be clocked at 3 minutes. Yes, my name is Luca Marvel. I'm a senior undergraduate student at USC Upstate conducting research with support from several PhD faculty members on the science of kratom, its social impacts, and public policy related to kratom. I've conducted a review of the scientific and medical literature and produced a white paper which I feel can serve as an adequate guide to understanding the lay of the land pertaining to kratom in South Carolina, as well as providing guidance for regulatory policy. Before getting into all of this, I would like to preface my statement by saying that through my scientific research, the most important takeaway is that kratom and 7-OH are not the same thing. Additionally, and due to the complex nature and nuanced nature of this issue, it is imperative that we remember that regardless of the impressive credentials of those who testify, we must remain based in scientific facts arrived at through empirical evidence, research studies, literature reviews, and meta-analyses, and that impressive credentials are not enough for effective testimony in and of themselves. This is the standard which everyone must adhere to, and anecdotal evidence, even from a medical doctor, is not enough to base regulatory decisions on if it is not derived from thorough scientific research. With that in mind, these are the conclusions we have come to based on our research. 1. We have a pretty good policy in place that was only just recently passed in May of last year, and I applaud the South Carolina General Assembly for its passage of the Kratom Consumer Protection Act, or KCPA. The KCPA provides a definition of what is and is not considered a kratom product and prohibits adulteration with non-kratom additives and synthetic alkaloids. It states that kratom products must not make health claims, must have ingredients listed, and must provide a recommended serving size. And it also establishes a 21-plus age restriction for sale. Finally, the KCPA provides far more legal requirements than exist for most over-the-counter supplements. The KCPA has not even been enacted for a year, so I think the General Assembly owes it to itself and its constituents to at least give the current legislation the opportunity to work, because a year is not enough time to really see positive results manifest from the KCPA, and passing contradictory bills now would seem redundant and premature. 2. The upshot of the proposed form of control is paradoxically less control. It is the consensus of science that placement in Schedule 1 of the CSA is inappropriate, would bar scientific researchers from conducting research on kratom, and a complete and total ban would only serve as a permission slip to allow the most unscrupulous actors to enter the space, making everything more dangerous for everyone. Again, our current legislation has not been found to be harmful, but the unregulated market has a good chance of producing things that will be. It is the consensus of science that there is no public health threat from kratom. Kratom is not just another opioid, as it works on a variety of receptors and only partially activates the mu opioid receptor. Kratom is well tolerated and used by individuals, leading
They be having technical difficulties on their end, not mine.
There's little to no evidence for significant abuse potential and withdrawal, and to date, only 11 cases have been confirmed for kratom-associated liver injury in which all patients recovered. compared to the global disease burden of alcohol, which has been estimated to contribute to 18.4 million years of lost life to disability. I think my point speaks for itself on this matter. There's also no scientific evidence to support a causal relationship between the ingestion of kratom and seizures, and there's insufficient evidence to confirm that even one death can be causally attributed to kratom to date. Importantly, South Carolina is a state that does not require autopsies or postmortem toxicology reports, and kratom and 7-OH are often confused in postmortem investigations, and kratom-associated deaths are, by definition, not causal, and as such, it is premature to make claims about kratom's or 7-OH's role in deaths in the absence of any rigorous investigations into these matters, and I will wrap this up. Thus, it cannot be said that kratom represents a significant threat to public health, or even a minor one, and placement in Schedule I has no support from the scientific community and is a tacit admission by the state that it is abdicating its responsibility to provide legally permissible, civilly accountable, and administratively liable regulations, which are the responsibility of governments in order to keep the public safe. Schedule I does nothing to limit access to people who want access and makes everything more dangerous. Again, current regulation preserves personal freedom whilst reducing potential public harms, things which the government should aim to do in general, and if we would like to keep it this way, Bills 4636 and 4641 should not advance in the legislature, and we should retain the current KCPA. Thank you for your time and attention, and I'm happy to address any questions, comments, or concerns which the subcommittee or the public might have at this time.
Dr. Marvel, which is a fun thing to say.
Not a doctor, but thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, Mr. Marvel,
Will be, hopefully.
can you, since you scientific research, so I get reports from Dr. A, bad. Reports from Dr. B, good. Report from you, neutral, natural occurring, better, right? Why is it that there's not a singular report? Why has the AMA not supported its uses? Why has it not been provided with any kind of medicinal actual use?
So currently, the FDA, which is the regulatory body that speaks for the AMA, they have already been found on multiple occasions to have issued statements that have been quite premature in regards to the public health implications stemming from kratom as a newly available regulated supplement. And many of the statements made by the FDA have been
This happened last time I streamed it, so definitely is technical difficulties on their end.
currently in development, especially going through the FDA approval pipeline and just being regulated and developed as pharmaceuticals in the context of research universities. They're often bound to say really a lot of what's actually going on behind closed doors because it's part of an active investigation. And as such, a lot of these institutions that might be currently investigating this might have their lips sealed. That being said, it is pretty much the consensus is fundamentally different in nature from that which is presented by other medical doctors because it's not based on anecdote. This is basically just a literature review of kind of the current state of the art pertaining to kratom in the United States. So hopefully that's an adequate answer.
And I just one question. What would you say that the mu opioid mimics other drug-wise?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So if I can take maybe for 30 seconds to respond to that, because it is kind of complicated. So kratom and the alkaloids in kratom, primarily metragenine, which is going to be the one responsible for the majority of its effects. This is an opioid that is typically conceived of as an atypical opioid. And this means, obviously, that it does not have a lot of the same pharmacology as is
Researchers don't call it an atypical opioid, by the way, anymore.
Heroin, notably. Kratom only partially activates the same receptor, in addition to also activating a variety of other receptors, these being adrenaline, serotonin, dopamine receptors, and additionally, beta-arrestin pathway is what is responsible for inducing opioid overdose in the form of respiratory depression, and because it does not,
This is pissing me off.
has not been demonstrated to. And that's natural botanical kratom. Now, 7-hydroxymetralginine is a completely separate issue.
Thank you. A
course.
very 30 seconds in your world is very different than mine.
Sorry. Yeah,
But
I've been
another
told that.
question. So are you familiar with positive and negative behavioral contrast?
Define the terms, if you could,
Well,
please.
so as a body at homeostasis, right?
Sure.
Any additive that is deemed by the body to be exciting, exhilarating, would you call is called a positive behavioral contrast. The additive element, kratom in this situation, energetic, brings you up to a spirit, takes care of the pain. What happens if you take 1 milligram for 10 weeks? Do you think that
nicotine, alcohol are amongst those. And certainly if you are going to, and this is the consensus of science as well, is that, if you are going to be self-medicating or even medicating with something that has been prescribed by a doctor, you will likely find that as your body adapts to the state of homeostasis, as it tries to self-regulate, that it's going to not respond in the same way as it did initially, and that you would maybe need to increase the dose. Now, does that necessarily mean in and of itself that is problematic? No. Is that something that needs to be considered and studied? Yes, it is, and that is certainly something that can be and always has been a part of all regulation in regards to botanicals or other psychoactive drugs.
So, Mr. Marvel, on the opposite side of that, you have the negative behavioral contrast.
Sure.
You take 1 milligram, 2 milligrams, you get up a little bit, say you get to 5 milligrams, all of a sudden you stop. Even though you try to say the same list you just said a second ago, but it creates a withdrawal system. That unlike closer to the opioid withdrawal system.
So this is one case in which, while abrupt cessation of kratom intake, for instance, if you are taking it over the course of several weeks or months in a row, abrupt cessation is going to cause your body to, be lacking for this exogenous molecule. But that has not been found to
Oh my gosh.
purported kratom-associated withdrawal syndrome, they have deemed the withdrawal syndrome to be either insignificant or functionally non-existent by comparison to other classical opioid withdrawal syndromes.
Mr. Marvel, please answer any questions that my subcommittee members may have.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Marvel.
Thank you.
And I beg my pardon, our other, you're fine, Mr. Marvel, you can step away.
Okay.
Our other subcommittee.
Representative Dr. Rosalind Henderson Myers, and I'm from Spartanburg County, House District 31.
Good afternoon. I'm Don Chapman, House District 8 in Anderson County.
All right, so back to it. So if we could get Mr. Justin Lowe up here. Again, state your name. If you're pro bill or against, I assume. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Justin Lowe. First off, thanks for doing this for us. As you can tell, it means a lot to people up here about this. I want to differentiate a little bit whether I'm pro or not. Last year, you guys passed the bill, the Kratom Consumer Protection Act, which I thought was really good, except as he mentioned, when it was originally introduced, it got rid of those extracts that seem to be causing all the problems. And from my own personal experience, they're not even nearly the same. And I listened to her story. She talked about a baby that had came into I guess it was the ICU and did not have a good outcome because it took some of those extracts, or its parents or something. And that's, I think, is what's causing all this problem. Most people in here will be able to tell you that just natural kratom to them is, very mild, more like caffeine than anything else. And I've seen people on these extracts, 7-OH in particular. He held up a picture of the natural kratom plant, and he did talk about 7-OH, and that's exactly, I think, the debate that we should be having. is that you guys did a really good job last year of hammering out that the Kratom Consumer Protection Act, the way it was written, it makes the natural plant a very safe thing to do because of the regulations that came along with it. But again, before it was finished, somehow someone got in there and had it took all the bumpers away from the high 7-OH mitragene kind of thing. And those pills that are parading around acting like claiming that they're kratom, they're just not the same. And it's an astronomical difference. And if it were up to me, I'd say you would keep the bill that you currently have. I think y'all did a really good job on that. And maybe do it as it was in its original form, where it got rid of 2% or whatever over the base. Just because from my personal experience, it's a big difference. It's not even close. And so I guess the last thing I want to say is I love South Carolina. It's my favorite state. I was born and raised here. I've been to other states. You know, I consider myself a conservative. I'm kind of a regular guy, and a lot of my friends are the same way. And I'm looking at this from a cycling background. I like to ride my bicycles, and what upsets me the most is that this would criminalize a lot of people that are like me, and nobody wants, you know, you're going to take somebody who's a law-abiding citizen and then make them a criminal in a lot of cases, and that's my biggest concern. And so that's all I have to say. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer.
Mr. Lowe, thank you for your testimony. I appreciate your sincerity. If you would answer any questions that subcommittee members may have. Members? Thank you, Justin.
Thank you.
Ian Waters?
Good afternoon. Thank you for your time. Excuse me. So doing what I just did there under this new legislation would be akin to me coming up here and shooting heroin in front of you guys on this podium.
Ooh.
Botanical kratom is completely different from the obscene pills we see in vape stores and gas stations today. 7-OH is a serious issue and a problem that is hurting people and causing problems with addiction and life lost. 7-OH, while trace amounts are found in botanical kratom, the amount is so minor that it's not even to be considered. For example, one 7-OH pill that you can get at a common vape store would be equivalent to 120 of these bottles that I have in my hand here. Now, this is properly dosed according to the KCPA, and that is 2 grams per 24 hours, which y'all have deemed to be the safe consumption rate for botanical kratom. To get the equivalent amount of 7-OH from botanical kratom that you get in a 120 milligram pill that you can get at any vape store, you would have to consume a kilogram of botanical kratom powder. This is obviously not something anybody can do, consuming essentially a flour-textured substance, a whole kilogram of it. Talking about these terms synonymously is silly. And I know you guys are smart people. You guys have great credentials. And y'all want to do what's best for the South Carolinian people, especially when lives are at stake. 7-OH costs lives, and 7-OH should be banned. There's no room for 7-OH in this discussion. 7-OH companies have falsely piggybacked off of kratom, the name and known botanical kratom, to sell opioids to children. And they are not the same. To give an example about the amount of 7-OH found per weight, it is 0.114% of kratom per weight. bananas, 0.2% alcohol. Nobody's saying fruit should be regulated as hard liquor. Lumping these together is exactly what the industry of 7OH would like to happen, because kratom is, for the most part, especially, definitely, when consumed within the parameters of the KCPA, a safe substance that, while addictive, is no worse than consuming alcohol, caffeine, or nicotine. The KCPA was great legislation that I think everyone in here will get behind, because kratom deserves to be treated as an adult supplement.
Mr. Waters?
Yes, sir.
Appreciate your testimony. If you don't mind, if you could answer any questions that my subcommittee members may have, but let me just say for the record that if this is to be banned, it would be Schedule 1 under Section G, which would be up to 5 years, not treated like heroin.
Right. Oh, sorry.
Not that look,
but 5 years is ridiculous for taking a swig of.
It was just a statement just
No,
to
I
clarify for
understand.
the audience.
Yes.
So if you'll answer any questions that any of my members may have,
I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you.
Mr. Chapman, anything?
Thank you, Mr. Waters.
I'm
We're
not
good.
a
And he can't.
subcommittee
He's not on
member.
the
Oh, you're not
I'm not-
allowed to. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry,
My
it's okay.
apologies.
I'm an LCI. I'm just.
My apologies. Anybody? Good?
Thank you, Mr.
Cool.
Waters.
Appreciate your time. I thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Jonathan Tyler Denon.
I'd have to rewatch it to get his name. I'm sorry, I didn't. I'm bad with names.
Thank you, sir. If you could state your name and speak loudly, I'm happy to hear you.
Alrighty. My name is Jonathan Tyler Denon. This can be real quick. I don't have much. I was a heroin addict for 7.5 years. I've been clean for almost 8 years now. But that last 3.5 years was Suboxone, which basically government's heroin. Same thing. If I had known about kratom at the time, I had no idea. It would have been so much easier. My life would have been so much easier. The struggle coming off of the withdrawals, coming off of the heroin and the Suboxone. The Suboxone was, I would say, twice the length of the actual heroin. I would have preferred just going off the heroin and not dealing with the Suboxone. If I had known about the kratom, it would have seriously helped me get back to a normal life. That's all I have. That's it. Any questions?
Jonathan, I appreciate your willingness to testify. It takes very strong people to come up to a committee like this, admit that they had a problem with addiction, especially a heroin addiction, and also to talk about the methadone as well. I appreciate your testimony, and I hope that no matter what happens with this subcommittee and with this bill, that you continue the path and stay straight. Thank you so much for your, well, I'm sorry. Any subcommittee members have any questions? Jonathan, thank you very much.
Thank you.
He did amazing. I know he was nervous, but he did
Debbie
amazing.
Coggins? Nope, here she comes. Ms. Coggins, if you could try your best to speak loudly, and happy to hear from you today.
Okay, thank you.
You can pull that mic down too. It'll be a little bit better for you. There you go. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the subcommittee. Thank you for this opportunity to speak to you. My name's Debbie Coggins, and I'm 71 years old from Greenville. I am a former smoker, and like many people my age, I live with chronic pain. I've also experienced the loss of my husband and my father to lung cancer, so I do take my health very seriously. I'm here today because kratom has made a meaningful difference in my life. It has helped me to manage my pain while allowing me to stay on minimal medication. Because of that, I've been able to maintain my independence, my daily routine, my quality of life. I'm a responsible adult, and I believe that adults should have the right to make informed choices about their own health, especially when safer regulated options are available. We already allow for more harmful substances like cigarettes to remain on the market. It doesn't make sense to ban something that is helping people like myself and a lot of other people live fuller lives. Instead of the ban, I strongly support reasonable kratom regulation, like the Kratom Consumer Protection Act. I commend all of you lawmakers for passing this bill last year. I think you're definitely on the right track, but you could have gone further with the banning the synthetics and the extracts. But I think the kratom leaf is safe and should be available as a tool that will help myself and many others stay active, engaged, and have a positive functioning member of the society. Please consider people like me when you make your decisions. I respectfully ask you to oppose this bill and support regulation instead of prohibition. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mrs. Coggins. Any questions from our members?
She looks amazing
Thank
for
you for your time,
71.
Mrs. Coggins.
You go, girl, Miss Coggins.
Sandy Martin?
Good afternoon. Can you hear me okay? Okay. I wanted to thank the committee and Chairman, sir, for allowing us to come out here today. My name is Sandy Martin, and I am in opposition of the bill at hand. 5 years ago, my sister, recovering alcoholic, and she found a bar down in Florida that offered her an alternative with kratom, and she asked me if I'd go with her, and we did. And she is 5 years sober, has not had any repercussions, and we are just thrilled to have her part of our family again. I'm a mom of 3 adult children. We have lived here in Spartanburg for 20 years. I'm a pastor's wife he is not here today because it's Holy Week, so he's a little busy, couldn't make it out here today. I own 3 businesses in the Greenville, Spartanburg, and Cherokee area. I do use natural leaf kratom to help with joint pain. I've had 2 shoulder surgeries. I also use it for anxiety and as an alternative for alcohol, even though I have no addiction to alcohol, and I do occasionally drink a nice glass of wine. So the FDA release that came out last year on 7/29/2025 clearly states that 7-OH is found in trace amounts of kratom plant leaf. They go on to say, though, but this is not our focus. Our primary concern is the concentrated form of 7-OH. It is chemically manipulated. This is an important distinction. These extracts can be 5 times, 10 times, even 50 times as potent than the traditional crushed leaf kratom. Choosing natural crushed leaf kratom means choosing a time-tested traditional approach that respects the plant's natural balance. While extracts may seem appealing due to their potency, they carry a greater risk, including rapid tolerance development, increased potential for dependency, and less predictable effects. Natural leaf kratom allows for a more measured, sustained relationship with kratom that aligns with centuries of tradition. The CDC report that came out yesterday states that as the FDA moves to regulate 7-OH, but not natural kratom leaf. I'm a big fan of the state, obviously. I am a big fan of regulation, even banning 7-OH at a state or a federal level. I'm just asking that you don't take away our right to choose as adults who are making adult decisions, educated decisions for ourselves. That's all I have. I answer any questions from y'all.
Ms. Martin, thank you so much. Love Spartanburg, went to Walford. Also love preachers. Got a grandfather that was one, and we all love preachers. We all need them too. Thank you so much for your testimony. I very much appreciate it. If you could answer any questions that my subcommittee members may have. Members,
All right. Thank you all.
thank you for your testimony.
These freaking
Joseph McElveen.
are here.
Joseph, how you doing today, bud?
Good. How about you?
Good to see you
Did
again.
you have a good birthday?
I did. Yeah, for the audience out here, that I saw Joseph after our subcommittee meeting last week, and I spoke with him and told him to make sure to get back up here so we could hear from him. Good to see you, Joseph.
You as well. And I appreciate your caveat that you added at the beginning, because I'm here on. Sorry. I'm here on behalf of so many people who didn't make it. I'm a former heroin addict myself. I was an IV user of fentanyl and heroin. And about 9 years ago, 7-OH and Kratom, both, I want to make that distinction, saved my life. I'd been through 4 different rehabs in 4 different states, going through revolving doors of addiction to trade one for the other. I would go to this facility and they would offer me methadone, and I would relapse off of that whenever I couldn't make it to a methadone clinic every day. Then go into another rehab facility, $20,000, $30,000 in debt without any sort of insurance at the time. And I would get put on Suboxone, which eventually gave me the bone density of a 70-year-old. There's an active lawsuit on Suboxone. The thing that these doctors who testified the week earlier are telling people to get off of Kratom and 7-OH to get onto Suboxone. Right now, there's an active class action lawsuit for Suboxone that is causing people's teeth and their bone density to deteriorate at exorbitant levels. I wanted to make that publicly known because it is a dangerous drug. This isn't like a safe alternative to what they call maintenance programs and rehabilitation. Yeah, there are addictive properties to 7-OH and Kratom, just like there are cigarettes, alcohol, heroin, and all of these substances that a lot of us take because there's underlying issues and societal problems that a lot of us can't cope with. Out of all of my friends that I went to high school with and drank, did drugs with and stuff, I'm the only one alive. And I don't see this urgency for all of the other opiates that have affected our country. And excuse me for being skeptical, but I do not want to trust the same pharmaceutical companies and doctors who handed it to me like candy. The first opiate I ever had, I was 17 years old. I broke my shin playing soccer. That doctor not once told me, here are the adverse effects. This was circa 2008, around that time. And I promise I'll wrap it up eventually. I just want to give people safe alternatives and at the very least, give us time to do research on this. Because it is, whether I don't have statistics or anything to show you, but it is making a significant difference in people's lives. 10 years ago, I was shooting a needle in my arm on the side of the road, not a place to stay. And I thank God every day that now I'm sober. I'm going to be married next February. I might have a little one on the way. We'll see after today. She's at the doctor. So I wouldn't have had that opportunity. If a ban like this would have gone into place, I don't think I'd be standing here talking to you. And I just wanted to make that known. People before me have done incredible jobs showing you guys studies and stuff. I mean, I've got a docket here. I was working with somebody that just shows that a lot of the fatalities.
Man, we were doing just fine without technical difficulties, man.
Painting this as the demon rather than looking at the overarching issue. A lot of those fatalities, which I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of them had a combination of something that added to the respiratory depressant. University. I'm, literally walking distance. My office is at Wardlaw, so you can come see me anytime. But thank you for your time.
Stay right there for 1 second, Joseph, if you don't mind.
It's not technical difficulties on my end, you guys. This happened last week.
Thank you.
Congratulations, hopefully, in order for maybe baby to be. And if whatever happens with this bill, please make sure to find a new way to make sure you stay straight and stay sober. And if everything else in this world fails you, then you got my cell phone number.
Oh, this wasn't the only thing that got me through. God got me through. I just wanted people to know that this is something that we should all consider as an alternative to what the pharmaceutical companies are pushing right now. That's all. Thank you.
Joseph, I appreciate you. If you don't mind, does anyone have any questions? I don't think so. Thank you, Joseph. Sarah Howard.
God could put kratom on this earth, FYI.
She's not here. Porter Martin. Thank you, Mr. Martin. Excuse me, hearing other things. If you don't mind stating your name and speak loudly, try to keep it to about 3 minutes. Everyone's done a great job. Thank you all very much.
Absolutely. Good afternoon to you all. I want to thank all the committee members and the chairman for hearing everybody today. They've done a great job bringing all of their stories and testimonies. My name is Porter Martin. I'm here to oppose the 4641 kratom ban. I'm here today because I've seen the effects of natural crushed leaf kratom help family members, close and new friends, with their pain, their mental and physical health, and even using it as a tool for work, for an energy or mental boost. I come here as a college graduate, a business owner and operator here in South Carolina, and I personally use natural leaf kratom for energy during work and in social environments as an alcohol alternative. As former student athletes, both my girlfriend and I both have struggled with chronic pains and aches in the past, hers due to hypermobility, mine due to significant injuries to my shoulder and other things. We both use this natural leaf kratom to alleviate this pain without the constant use of pharmaceuticals or over-the-counter pain meds. I have multiple other cases that come to mind when it comes to the way that this product has helped. But the main one is, as you heard from my mother, my aunt kicked a 20-year alcohol addiction using these products and is sober to this day and a contributing member of society working in Florida. My goal with this personal testimony is to show how this natural product has helped many members of society, including my own personal circle. I believe that the synthetic chemical additives are absolutely a concern that should be addressed, but a blanket ban over kratom itself may not be the answer. Thank you all for listening and providing the space for us to share our opinions.
Thank you very much for your testimony. If you don't mind answering any questions that our committee members may have.
Absolutely.
I think you're good. I appreciate you being here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So we got Benjamin Hendersman.
Do we have any of the medical experts here today that can talk to us since we're hearing about the natural kratom as opposed to the synthetic?
We heard from some last time. I don't know if there are any other medical experts here today.
On which one? Was there a distinction made?
We heard it on kratom and 7-OH as well. One testified to the fact that even natural kratom, once it is in process to the liver, sometimes does produce a little bit of 7-OH as well. That was in the testimony of a toxicologist from Greenville. Thank you. Another talked about toxicology coroner down in Charleston, I believe. They both testified last week.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Apologies.
Good afternoon. My name is Ben Heinzelman, and I thank you for your time. I urge you not to ban natural kratom. For many, including members of my own family, kratom is not a recreational drug. It is a tool. I personally use kratom extract shots in specific to manage pain from my shoulder and bicep surgeries that I had gotten from wrestling in high school and a little bit in college. My mom personally uses Kratom to help with her anxiety, and a ban would take that option away and push people towards riskier alternatives. It's also important to separate natural kratom from highly concentrated compounds like 7-hydroxy, which are much stronger and more likely tied to concerns with misuse. Natural kratom is significantly milder and different in its effects than 7-hydroxy is, and instead of prohibition, smart regulation like limitations on alkaloid concentrations and third-party product testing can address real risks while protecting people who rely on it. Please focus on regulating high-potency compounds like 7-hydroxy while keeping natural kratom legal. Thank you. I'll answer any questions you guys have.
Any questions from our members? Thank you, Ben.
Thank you.
Virginia Gauthier. Well, Miss Virginia, we got you up here faster than I thought. So that's good. Good to see you again.
Good to see you again, Mr.
If you don't mind
Burton.
stating your name and then speaking loudly. Thank you so much.
All right, my name is Virginia Gauthier, and I'm here today because I strongly oppose this bill to ban kratom. I have a kratom shop, so I moved to Columbia, I guess it was back in 2018, and I started working for a guy from Augusta who had he had just started a kratom shop. I started running it for him. Well, I eventually bought it from him 3 years later, and it became my shop, and it's something I'm really passionate about. I was born into a world of alcoholism and addiction. Both my parents and my brother are not here with us today due to the opiates that were prescribed in the 90s, like candy, given to my mom and my dad. And then they got a divorce. And then, of course, I remember going to school one day. I had a headache. I was in 7th grade. Told my mom I have a headache. She reached down and she gave me a Percocet. 7th grade. I passed out all day in school. By the time I got to high school, we were partying with our parents. My house was the fun house. Everyone wanted to come to my house and party, hang out. My dad was a drug dealer. My mom was all in opiates, and they were trading doctors, doctor shopping, doing all that good stuff. So this is what we were told in the 90s and 2000s, that Oxy was going to be the cure to all this stuff. Well, anyway, I was in a car accident and when I was 15 and ended up having to have multiple surgeries. I have chronic pain. I lost count at 12 surgeries. I've had somewhere 15, or I'm supposed to get another surgery on April 15th of this month. So it's a hernia repair from the mesh that I got put in 2008 has failed. So now I have to have another revision. So what I want to bring up today is, I don't know, we're seeing a resurgence in getting back to our roots, getting back to what God made, getting back to creation itself. And God created the kratom plant in its whole. It's a leaf. It grows on a tree. It's actually a really big tree. And it's a big green leaf, and they dry it in different ways to give the different effects. Been used for probably 500 years culturally. And let's get back to the poppy plant. That's probably been used 5,000 years culturally. And it was all these years and years, everyone was using it fine culturally. It wasn't until man decided to isolate out and create morphine and other stronger things that we started seeing an issue. Look through history, China did not even ban the import or export of the poppy. They didn't start even looking into it until the 1700s. And yet we've got records going back to Hippocrates, older than we have, where people were using natural plant-based methods. Nature designs it perfectly. God knows what he is doing when he designs something. They design it with balance. You ask anyone that takes natural kratom, it has a built-in mechanism in it to where you can't take too much. You'll throw up. You'll feel like crap. You won't ever do it again. If you accidentally take too much kratom, you will feel like SHIT. And you, trust me, you will pay much more attention next time. Where we're coming with all these issues, and we're seeing it in modern medicine now, it's people are taking stuff and they're isolating it. They're breaking it down into nitty-bitty little pieces, and we are not realizing that everything works as a whole and everything has a domino effect. And now we're seeing all these major problems throughout all of our industrial medical system. Like, we have major problems. No one is happy anymore. Everyone is depressed. We have record suicide rates. We have kids killing themselves, for Christ's sakes. Why are we going to take away a tool some people have found that God has created? We need to stop dividing up everything into little pieces so people can patent it and own it and profit off of it. The greed. I'm sick of the greed. Can we please have one state in this nation that is done with the greed and the corruption and the profiteering and the patenting, you know? Let's protect creation itself. Let's get the bad actors who are taking the kratom plant and chopping it up into itty-bitty pieces and making it something it was never supposed to be.
All right, take a breath. Do you mind wrapping up for just give you about 10 more seconds, let you wrap up? Be perfect, okay? Does that sound good?
Yeah, that does.
All right, thank you.
So, but no, I'm very passionate about it. And because I've been through that road. I was in pain management for 10 years. And I got to where I literally felt like I had no soul, you know? It wasn't until I got back to my roots, the truth of what God has given us, everything we need. We don't need to mess with it. No one needs to own things.
I appreciate
But we need regulations.
Okay, yes,
and
ma'am.
kratom.
I appreciate your passionate for kratom and for Mother Earth creation, God's nature, God's plants. I appreciate all that. Answer that. Short-term effects we see, you know, we see what the benefits are, but we don't know what the long-term effects of this plant, natural or with 7-OH.
Correct.
So we do have a duty here to make sure that we protect South Carolina as best we can.
But it's my right. If I want to use a plant God created, that should be my right. You know, as a human born who incarnated on this earth, that should be my right.
Well, you know what? I'd hate to say I disagree with you because you're such a lovely lady, but unfortunately that once we make laws of the land, that's what will rule here. Now, we all answer a higher purpose one day, right? Correct?
Exactly.
Right? So, but as for this meeting today, I understand and I appreciate your passion for the natural movement. And if you have a second or two, if there are any questions from our members you don't mind answering. Mr. Luck, Representative Luck.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sorry. Pollen's still out there. Do I understand it correctly? You run a store here in Columbia?
I do, yeah. And I'm going to send an email to the whole house and invite people to come by and they can see how I do things and how we do things there. And we are honest. We don't gatekeep knowledge. You know, like open to any questions. I don't have anything to hide, you know. So.
And, remind me, what was your opinion of the 7-OH products or the 7-OH?
Yeah. So, okay,
Reviews.
my opinion on that. I think there is a place for it, but it needs to be very, very, very controlled. Like, I think nature gets things right. I don't think the 7-OH thing, there's a lot of bad actors and they're taking advantage. It's getting a lot of people hurt. And that's where we're seeing all these issues with kratom. So the 7-OH is how it stands. It needs to go. Like it cannot stand how it is. I think there's a place for it, but it would have to be tightly regulated.
Do you sell any 7-OH products in your store?
I do have some, not the ones that I get mine direct from labs with third-party lab tests. I don't sell any of that blister pack stuff. And I try to talk to people about it, and I take it myself. And I personally feel that you should start with a regular kratom. The 7-OH should not be taken on a routine daily basis. That is only an occasional when you absolutely need it, nothing else is working for you, a last resort kind of thing. What we're seeing now is a lot of synthetic and, not naturally extracted stuff that's hitting these smoke shops and these gas stations, and that needs to be stopped. And honestly, I was at a big, last year when the 7OH was flooded, I was like, I don't know what to do. And my assistant manager said to me, I feel like you should sell it, because if you don't, people who want it are gonna go somewhere else and get it. At least now you can make sure they're taking pure stuff and know how to use it and use it right. So, but personally, I'm for it going 100%. Like, it would have to be tightly regulated, and I don't see how that could be done in this environment right now,
Thank you.
That's where all the issues are coming from.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything further?
Damn, I was cheering
you so
her
much
on
for
until
that.
she said that she was selling 7OH. Man, girl.
I'm going to go out on a limb and just go with the last name, Hutto. I cannot make out your first name. Is Miss Hutto here? Is it Wileen?
Wamey.
I would have never gotten close.
Wamey. I know it's my grandmother's name. It's German.
Miss Hutto, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. My name is Wamey Hutto, and I'm the executive director of the Ernest E. Kennedy Center, which is the Alcohol and Drug Abuse Commission in Berkeley County. I'm one of 31 agencies across the state of South Carolina that provides prevention, intervention, and treatment services to our residents. And we're funded, we contractually go through OSIS, or formerly DAOTIS. So I wanted to be here today, and I apologize because my throat is coming and going. But I was here last week, and I felt it very important that you know what we're dealing with on a treatment, prevention, and intervention level at the local level. And we've already talked about the increasing availability in local stores. We're seeing rising youth among adults and youth. We're seeing a growing presence in our treatment settings, and we're seeing common misconceptions about natural equals safe. We're seeing it sold as powders, as we talked about, capsules, extracts, enhanced concentrated products. And I have a handout for y'all today that I can give you that is pictures from our local stores there in Berkeley County. We're seeing it produce opioid-like effects, euphoria, sedation. We're seeing it lead to tolerance, dependence, withdrawal symptoms, clinically resembling opioid use disorder that we're having to deal with locally. It's not a mild substance, as we talked about. 7OH, is we've already seen, is significantly more potent, affects vary widely by product and by dose. There's no standardization or FDA oversight. We're seeing a high risk of escalation and dependence in our treatment settings. We're seeing extremely easy access in our community. We do compliance checks. We routinely go out, take pictures, see what's available in the community. We're seeing it in all convenience stores, vape shops, tobacco shops. And we're already seeing an escalation with youth accessing vapes and the issues we've seen with that in our setting. And also they can access Kratom. We're working carefully with our law enforcement partners, and I have statements from them and the issues and the struggles they're having to deal with it. And the main thing is they've talked about a plant, many people, and a farm, but what we're seeing is no longer from a farm, it's from a lab, and it's from an unregulated lab. They're extracted, concentrated, chemically altered, stronger and more unpredictable than traditional leaf use, increased risk of adverse effects and dependence. What we've seen in the Kennedy Center, when we started noticing the issues with it, it wasn't a normal substance that we had on our drug panels, so we added that last year. And within no time, we had seen 91 of our UDSs tested positive for Kratom. Our normal drug panel, when we give someone, when they come in for treatment, has 15 substances listed on it. And one of them is now Kratom, but we're routinely seeing that Kratom ranks among the top 5 most frequent positive results from our drug testing. We're seeing increased regular daily use. We're seeing escalated doses, withdrawal symptoms, and often it's undisclosed. Many times when someone comes in and is tested, they don't even realize what they've taken or how it's going to show up. They think they're taking a supplement. Some individuals use Kratom, as we've heard, to get off opioids, but what we're finding as they use that, then they're requiring medication-assisted treatment or other higher levels of treatment to taper off the Kratom once they come into our system.
Are you freaking kidding me?
The use can also delay evidence-based treatment. increase recurrence risk, complicate recovery plans. The other problem we have with our prevention side is youth always associate legal with safe. Packaging and marketing appeal, you'll see from these pictures, I mean, it appeals to our young people. It's very accessible. There's a lack of awareness among parents and educators. Our prevention systems are playing catch up. And so our key risks for youth and families we've seen is an increased risk of addiction, mental health impacts, potential for polysubstance use, and then a gateway into opioid-like dependence. What we're trying to do locally is educate parents, schools, providers. We're encouraging early screening in healthcare and behavioral health. We're supporting clear policy guidance, and that's why I felt so strongly about being up here today and coming back up here after last week. Finally, kratom is not a harmless supplement. It's already impacting our treatment and our recovery systems. Prevention, education, and policy matter, and so that's why I support this bill and are here to give that information to you, and that community awareness can reduce harm. When we saw this escalate last year, we reached out to our representative, Mark Smith, who's a co-signer of the bill, and Senator Brian Adams, and they asked us, we said we wanted to have a town hall. They participated in that town hall on January 6th. We had over 100 people in attendance. What we found through that is the support for doing something about this. We had one of our clients speak of what he's gone through. He was in recovery for 12 years and tried kratom and went back into an addiction cycle, unfortunately. So we promised them when they came to our town hall that we would come back and support when there was a bill introduced. So that's why I'm here today, and I want you to know that I represent 31 other, BHSA, I think, sent a letter to y'all, and I'm one of 31 of your providers here in the state of South Carolina.
You just
Ms.
tried to
Heather, thank you so
save
much for being
poor
here to
Matt
testify. I'm
treatment
sorry I
funding.
had to make you come back. If you could answer any questions that
Yeah,
any of my
I'd be
members
glad
may
to.
have, I'd greatly appreciate it.
Can I hand, do you mind if
I can't stand recovery
Representative
treatment
Landon?
centers these days. I
Thank you
can't.
so much for coming back. I do remember your testimony last week as well. It's very clear from all of the folks who have gone out of their way to be here today and told their personal stories that they see the natural plant as being quite different from the synthesized, very, very addictive and very risky synthetics. So that was a redundant statement. But so my question to you is, do you, because of the work you're doing, do you think you're seeing people who really only use the natural plant, or do you see what you're dealing with is mostly people who have gotten involved with the other products?
We're seeing combinations. The problem is because of non-regulation and packaging the way it is, many times people don't know what they're taking. And we're also seeing issues with people who take something like this and not disclose to their physician when they go in, and then they may be prescribed something on top of that that can cause, that's where you could cause the death or hospitalization. So it's just, it's Russian roulette right now. We just don't know what's out there and what's but we are constantly seeing it, and the accessibility is just crazy everywhere.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ms. Henderson Myers.
Thank you so much. Ms. Sato, if I were to ask you a hypothetical, the leaf product, what would your comments be on that?
That's a difficult thing to answer. I'm in support of not having kratom at all right at this point because there's so little that we can tell the difference at a treatment level right now. So I would need more information for somebody to say that just ban 7-OH. Because they're unregulated labs, because of the packaging, I don't know that we'll know what we're getting, even if you just say 7-OH.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Girl, just say that freaking kratom is
Ms. Heather,
competition.
Just one quick follow-up. When you
admit
talk
that.
about the distinguishing factors between natural leaf and the 7-OH, is it to your knowledge, do you know if you can identify the difference by just looking at the product?
I mean, not to my knowledge.
Okay. And so it it'd be tough for law enforcement to be able to distinguish between the two, say, if this is to be banned.
Right. I mean, the packaging is wide ranging, and I'm no professional in the packaging aspect of it. But even like the Kratom drinks, where we're sitting in some of the convenience stores, because things are sitting everywhere right now, there's been confusion, as there has been with the hemp drinks and with the Kratom drinks, when they're close to something that looks. And so much of the packaging that, if you'll see from the pictures that I provided you, attract young people. Very young people, because of the way they're marketed and the way they're packaged.
Thank you very much, Ms. Soto.
You're welcome.
Excuse me, Ms. Henderson-Myers.
Ms. Soto, can you remind this committee of what your background is?
Yes, I'm a certified prevention specialist, but I'm the executive director of the Kennedy Center, which is the designated alcohol and drug abuse authority for Berkeley County, and that's through legislation, Act 301.
Okay, and you said you're a certified what?
Prevention specialist.
Prevention.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. What does that mean?
I come from the prevention of alcohol and drugs, and then I also come from the community mobilization and policy.
Allison, and I swear it looks like Britain from here, but it can't be Britain.
It's Bilton.
Bilton, okay. Y'all got some messy handwriting. I'm saying that, I got messy handwriting too, so, you know,
Should have
we
been a
smell our own
doctor.
kind. Thank you so much, Ms. Bilton, for being here today. If you would speak loudly, say your first and last name for us, please.
Thank you so much for a second chance to speak when we weren't heard last week. I appreciate your time and commitment to this. My name is Allison Bilton. I work for the Berkeley County Coroner. I facilitate the Berkeley County Overdose Fatality Review Board, and I facilitate the Tri-County Overdose Fatality Review Board. And I also have a seat at our child fatality reviews in Berkeley County. I have seen a lot with my reviews, and I do also do next to kin notifications at times because we do one before each review that we do. And I would like to say that in July 2025, we had 2 fatal overdoses from Kratom. I was surprised.
No.
I was not very familiar with Kratom. It was not on my radar.
No.
But because I review every overdose death in Berkeley County, and I came across the metrogyne, I believe is how you pronounce the word, Kratom death, I was paying very close attention at that part. What's coming into our community, what's new. So it was a red flag. So I started reaching out to other counties and saying, hey, are you guys seeing this? Our tri-county area would be Berkeley, Charleston, and Dorchester. And I work very closely with the Kennedy Center, which is Wamey that just spoke, and Wake Up Carolina. So I started reaching out to all of our partners. What are you seeing? What's going on? This is coming up in our toxicology. We can confirm that it is a Kratom death because the Berkeley County Coroner's Office autopsies all possible drug overdoses. We use MUSC forensic pathology. Dr. Erin Presnell leads that group, and Demi Garvin, who spoke here last week, I brought her in with me. She is our toxicologist, and she is here in Columbia within walking distance of this building. She walked over to meet us. She runs Forensic Science Network Labs, and we process all of the blood work, ocular, or urine, whatever we have that we can use through NMS, a nationwide lab. So we are seeing deaths from this in Berkeley County. We've been concerned. We started talking and working between our counties. We talked to Mark Smith, Representative Mark Smith, about this. We had some irons in the fire, and we have protocol for our child fatality reviews that if EMS or law enforcement are called out and they think that a child may pass away, the coroner's office is notified so that we can be in from the beginning and not play catch up at the end. And I got a call at 7 a.m. On a Monday morning that we had a 2-year-old that had overdosed on Kratom.
What?
And the naloxone, which works on the opioid receptors to knock the Kratom, the opioid acting agent, off, the antagonist off. So
The baby was revived with naloxone but continued overdosing. The baby was then transported to the Medical University of South Carolina, and the way I understand it from Dr. Carrie Bush was the baby had to be placed on a Narcan drip for 9 hours. The baby was in ICU and on the ventilator. This was a very serious unit, and when the parents were questioned about the capsule that the baby had ingested, the parents didn't understand the situation. They thought it was a natural mood enhancer, something that you could buy from a gas station that wouldn't be very harmful, and they just couldn't understand and wrap their minds around how a capsule was doing this to their baby. I believe that there's a lot of lack of education. People assume because you can buy it in your gas station, your vape store, and everywhere else that it's a safe product. We know that's not the case. Once this baby was put on our radar, we decided we needed to get more information, have a town hall. I attended the National Emerging Drug Trend Conference. I've attended it for the last 3 years, and it hurts my feelings whenever I'm in the main auditorium and they tell everybody that South Carolina is the gas station heroin capital of the United States. They have evidence to prove it. They know how much kratom is sold here versus everywhere else in the country. We have to get this under control. People from other states are driving here to buy it, and if you don't believe it, go to the Florida-Georgia line, go to any of our state lines where it's illegal in the next state over, and you'll see that they're selling it in gallon containers with shelves up to the ceiling, and it's a hot commodity. It's unfortunate that we are still having these discussions and that we have not been able to do something about it previously. We are seeing it now involved in our motor vehicle accidents. The toxicology reports come back from MVA where the person was under the influence of kratom. We're seeing it in almost every aspect of each type of death that we can have in our office. We're seeing it blended with drugs.
Bill, if you could try to wrap up.
Okay,
Thank you.
That's it. I'm done. So if you have any questions, please ask.
Any questions from our
If
members?
Narcan revived that 2-year-old, it was 708.
Bill, thank you for being here again today. We are closing in. We got about 10 people left. John Cleveland.
Here comes the guy that's going to defend 70H.
Good afternoon, Chairman Britton, members of the General Laws Subcommittee. Thanks for the opportunity to testify today in opposition to H4641. My name is John Cleveland. I'm a South Carolina native, grew up here in Columbia, barred attorney in South Carolina, and served as Director of Policy and Communications for Governor McMaster from 2017 to 2021. Today I represent kratom companies and manufacturers through Holistic Alternative Recovery Trust, or HART. HART supports sensible regulation for all natural therapeutics derived from Mitragyna speciosa, or kratom. We think such regulations should, of course, endeavor to balance the ideals of protecting children and the public, while also preserving access for the tens of thousands of Palmetto State consumers who do rely on these products to manage pain, overcome addiction, reclaim their health. Last year, the General Assembly passed a good regulatory framework that we supported, implementing sensible rules surrounding the sale of kratom products, including age and labeling restrictions. As a result, at least one manufacturer actually moved its operations here, changing their position in good faith reliance on the representations of the General Assembly. With them, they brought new jobs, new capital investment. One of them has hired 200 people in Jasper County. We should not pull the rug out from under them in less than a year later. Kratom has become a bit of a controversial subject in policy circles. Where it is not controversial is among consumers. 30 million Americans take kratom products regularly for purposes like pain relief, anxiety, harm reduction. These Americans are not criminals. They are average people, and they are your constituents. For those new to this, and I was new to this about a year ago, there are 4 pharmacologically grounded classifications of kratom products. There's whole leaf kratom products, full spectrum kratom extract products, kratom alkaloid products, including isolates like mitragynine and 7-hydroxymitragynine, and blended kratom products that combine kratom with other psychoactive or bioactive ingredients like kava. An example would be the feel-free drinks you've probably seen around. No category is risk-free. Physical dependence and withdrawal symptoms can occur across all categories, particularly with high doses, frequent use, or riskier routes of administration. Importantly, though, no categories are associated with death when consumed in isolation. To the extent there are deaths associated, they are almost always the result of polydrug combinations or pre-existing conditions. For example, more than 1 million Americans have consumed 2 billion servings of single alkaloid 7-hydroxymetragine products. Yet, according to the FDA's own database, the Federal Adverse Event Reporting System, there have only been 89 associated adverse events. That's 1 out of 17 million, fewer than soap. Notably, you have a better chance of dying in an airplane crash than experiencing an adverse event from 7-OH. The chance of dying in an airplane crash is 1 in 13 million. This is 1 in 17. Again, that's 89 adverse events, many of them as minor as nausea and dizziness.
And I've got data that says that we've got 1,015 from 2011 to 2014. Then in 2025, you've got 1,600 cases in the first 7 months. Now, I'm not saying one's correct and one's wrong, but people are out there being affected by it. Now, I don't want to, I really do appreciate.
Yes, sir.
I really appreciate everyone here being testifying today, but I do not ever want to downplay the loss of any life.
Absolutely not.
Due to any of these kind of substances. And while I appreciate the statistical parts, I've got statistics that cover everything, and none of them say the same thing. So I understand and I appreciate that, and I really appreciate your presentation. You're doing a great job. I just wanted to make sure that I made that distinction, because we've heard a lot of numbers out here today. We've heard a lot of positive, we've heard a lot of negative. I just want to make sure that when we talk about our statistics, that statistics are drawn from various data sources, empirical. They should be empirically reviewed and circulated. 89, I've got 1,600. We just know there's people being affected by it negatively as well and positively. I just want to put that out there.
Well, look, yes, sir.
Thank you.
There's no question. There's a lot of competing narratives out there, and it's true that federal authorities have expressed concern about kratom. There's been action on 7-OH on the FDA front. 2 weeks ago, a group of U.S. senators, led by Pete Ricketts, sent a letter recommending scheduling all kratom products. It is my position that those members are misinformed and looking for a problem to solve. But the fact of the matter is that the federal government is right now, at this very moment, going through a scientific process to determine how best to regulate certain kratom products, and I think we should let that process play out. I don't think anyone else here is going to do this, so I would just like to briefly speak to the pharmacology of 7-OH, if that's okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. You have in your possession written testimony from Dr. Kirsten Smith, who at Johns Hopkins became the first scientist to conduct significant clinical research on 7-OH. Dr. Smith started out as a 7-OH skeptic, but after significant study, she came to the conclusion that 7-OH should not be considered a public health crisis, that data show no evidence of overdose deaths, respiratory depression, or widespread dependence. As Dr. Smith has explained, and I'm relaying her words here, assertions that 7-OH is more potent than morphine are false. They confuse potency with binding affinity. And logically, it makes sense that such claims are false. If that were true, we'd be seeing people flooding the hospitals, dying from it. And no one has died, as far as I can tell, from 7-OH in isolation. Again, I know there's different statistics out there. I'm going from the FDA website. So the reason for that is 7-OH, it does bind with high affinity, but it's a partial agonist, so it only partially activates the mu-opioid receptor, exhibiting extremely low intrinsic efficacy. That results in a ceiling effect on typical opioid-like outcomes. It doesn't implicate the beta-arrestin pathway, as the gentleman before me stated, which is usually responsible for respiratory depression and overdose deaths.
Once it does, once you do bind that, once it's a partial binder,
right,
and you start off at a regulated level, that receptor becomes dulled to that. Correct?
Absolutely.
And so over time, there's an increase.
There's a tolerance increase, yes, sir.
And then, of course, and that comes with a dependency. And then with that comes withdrawal. Correct? I mean, I'm not.
I'm not debating any of that.
I'm not arguing with you. I hope you know that, Mr. Cleveland.
I'm merely trying to explain why we haven't seen overdose deaths from this.
And so I just want to make sure that we're on the same page here. I'm not.
We're on the same page
with you at all. But
yes, sir. By the way, I have studies to back all this up. I'd be happy to share them with you.
Thank you.
Finally, I would just like to note that and this is sort of a insider bit of information, but you've heard and we'll hear more from kratom advocates and companies who want to single out 7-OH as the problem. Many of them are operating under the aegis of the American Kratom Association, which has made a deliberate and strategic decision to scapegoat 7-OH products to ensure their own survival. Here's all you need to know about that. Mitragynine in kratom converts to 7-OH in the body at a rate of 24%. So if you have a 100 milligram mitragynine gummy, that's about 24 milligrams of 7-OH, right? So, if kratom companies really thought 7-OH was bad, they wouldn't be selling kratom. That being said, none of these products should be banned. We just passed a regulatory bill. Let's see how it works. If you need further articulation around enforcement, we would support that. We would strengthen it further. We would support amendments that would remove kratom products from all age brick and mortars like gas stations. We can confine them to 21 and up establishments. That's a reasonable reform to protect children. In the meantime, South Carolina should maintain our leadership by being a place that rewards good faith compliance, encourages responsible businesses to invest here, and makes decisions grounded in evidence. Urge you to carry this bill over until next year. Thank you.
If you don't mind, Mr. Cleveland, answer any questions that the members may have.
Yes, sir.
Looks like none. Mr. Cleveland, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
I can't with
All right, so
industry.
one of our members has to leave at 2, so I'm going to try to emphasize being here, getting through these a little quicker, but y'all are doing a great job. Tom Beckham. Tom, how you doing today? Good to see you again, my friend.
Doing well. Good to see you.
Thank you. If you don't mind speaking which side you're on and stating your name for the record.
Absolutely. So my name is Tom Beckham, and I oppose this bill as currently written. I'm the owner of a kratom alkaloid contract manufacturing company. John actually mentioned my company a moment ago. When South Carolina passed its kratom consumer protection framework last year, my company took notice. We made the decision to move our manufacturing operations to South Carolina directly because of the regulatory clarity that this legislature demonstrated. We currently employ over 140 people in South Carolina, and we're on track to employ 200 people before the end of the year. That investment in those jobs are a direct result of this state choosing smart regulation over prohibition. This bill would put my company out of business. The science supports this industry's safety profile. Dr. Edward Boyer submitted written testimony to this committee on the safety profile of both kratom and of 7-OH. I urge each committee member to review that testimony. Dr. Boyer is a tenured professor at Ohio State, attending toxicologist at Nationwide Children's Hospital, and staff toxicologist at the Central Ohio Poison Control Center. He's a former Harvard Medical School professor, an NIH-funded principal investigator for over 25 years, and a 2018 Fulbright Scholar to Malaysia to study kratom. I'll quote him here from his testimony in Ohio 2 weeks ago. Data from America's poison centers shows 0 deaths unambiguously attributed to 7-OH alone. And this is across an estimated 2 billion servings sold in the United States. Meanwhile, according to CDC data, national overdoses, and this is overdoses as a whole, not related to kratom, but for any substance in its entirety, have fallen nearly 50% from their peak in June of 2023 during the same time period that kratom and 7-OH have remained available on the regulated market. You may have heard some alarming figures like poison control calls related to kratom increased 1,200% over the past decade. That figure leaves out vital context. In 2025, to 20 million kratom alkaloid consumers. That's a contact rate of less than 0.02%. Tylenol, in comparison, generates over 100,000 poison control calls every year. The alarm in that statistic disappears the moment that you add the denominator. The data doesn't support a narrative that these products are a public health emergency. Additionally, I want to be direct about what prohibition does. When government removes a low-risk, regulated product from a community that still has demand, that demand doesn't disappear, it relocates. It relocates to untested, unregulated, unlabeled, and often illicit products where the real dangers live. It takes a legal, regulated economy that's generating jobs and a livelihood for South Carolinians and pushes it into the hands of illicit market participants and potentially cartels. Finally, the federal government is actively reviewing and developing a framework for kratom and kratom alkaloids right now. Congress hosted a hearing on 7-OH last Thursday. The conclusion from every medical expert that testified there was that these products should absolutely be regulated, but they should not be banned or listed on Schedule 1, which goes so far as to essentially ban these products from being researched by medical professionals in a laboratory setting. A state-level ban enacted before that process concludes eliminates the regulated supply chains and creates a patchwork that serves only to harm consumers, businesses, and the scientific research process. The right move is to let the science run its course. We're an industry that actively welcomes and is proactively seeking regulation. South Carolina's existing law is consistent with where federal regulation is heading. Several people have talked about how synthetic 7-OH is the problem. Well, last year's bill already banned synthetic alkaloids. They're not legal in South Carolina. The current framework protects minors by age gating the product. It requires third-party testing, and it mandates accurate labeling. I urge this committee to preserve last year's KCPA. The jobs, the consumers, and the science are all pointing in the same direction. Thank you.
Tom, of course, we've talked before. I appreciate you here today and your testimony. Do you mind answering any questions that members may have?
More than happy to.
Awesome. Good. Thank you for your testimony, Tom.
Thank you, everyone.
So those 7-OHers that are there,
Christine
they're responsible for removing the cap limit from the KCPA last year. That's why he was able to move his
Ms. Albert, if
business
you
there.
don't mind stating your name and if you're for or against the bill. Thank you.
Yes, so my name is Kristen Albert, and I do oppose the bill. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. I've been a native South Carolinian, and I'm here to share how Kratom saved my life. I have a serious genetic disorder called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, or EDS. It causes constant severe joint instability and frequent joint dislocations. Most people experience a dislocation only during major trauma. For years, I was prescribed narcotic pain medications. While they helped, they came at a cost: sedation, side effects, risk of dependence, and the stigma that comes with taking them, even when they're medically necessary. About 8 years ago, I lost my health insurance and with it my access to pain management. By that time, my health had already been declining. I had dislocated 2 ribs that never returned to place, leaving me nearly bedbound for years due to constant pain and reduced lung capacity. At that point, I didn't really.
It's technical difficulties on their end, so I'm sorry about this. It's not on my end.
And Kratom gave me my life back. It didn't eliminate my pain the way that prescription narcotics did, but it reduced it enough for me to start rebuilding. I was able to begin physical therapy again, strengthening my muscles to compensate for my condition. Within a year, I was no longer bedbound. I went from working remotely in bed to holding an in-person job. I completed my master's degree in music education. I became a more active, present mother. I rejoined society. Today, I work 30 hours a week in a physically demanding job. I am a student at USC preparing for medical school to study my condition, and I'm also the executive director of a nonprofit supporting Ehlers-Danlos patients across the state of South Carolina. None of this would have been possible without Kratom. Now, I want to address the legal standard being considered here. Schedule 1 classification specifically means that a substance has no accepted medical use and a high potential for abuse. But like me and a lot of other people that have testified today, we feel that this doesn't really reflect reality. A Johns Hopkins study of over 2,800 Kratom users found that the vast majority used it for pain relief, anxiety, depression, or to reduce opioid dependence. Importantly, the study found relatively low rates of severe adverse effects and low indicators of abuse potential. The lead researcher, Dr. Albert Garcia Ramo, concluded that Kratom does not fit the criteria for the Schedule 1 and warned that banning it could drive people back to prescription opioids or illicit drugs like heroin and fentanyl. That is not speculation. That is a predictable public health outcome. If Kratom is banned, people like me do not stop being in pain. We're left with 2 options: either return to narcotics with all of their risks or go to unsafe alternatives. That's not harm reduction, that's harm displacement. I also want to acknowledge that not all kratom products are the same. Highly concentrated extracts, like we've talked about, and the synthetic derivatives are very different from the natural plant that I take every day. I do support the regulation, including the Kratom Consumer Protection Act that you guys signed last year. But this current bill, 4641, is not regulation, it's prohibition. Additional research on this plant. Without kratom, there's a very real chance that I would still be bedbound or worse. The decision is not abstract for me. It is about whether I and many others will continue to have access to something that allows us to live stable and functional lives. I respectfully urge you to oppose scheduling kratom as a Schedule I substance and instead pursue thoughtful, evidence-based regulation that protects both safety and access. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Do you mind answering any questions? Built? Okay. Walton. Is there a Mr. or Mrs. Walton? It starts with, I think, a D. Yes, okay, there we go. That says Hudson? Oh, Watson. Okay, that makes way more sense. Thank you, Ms. Watson. If you could state your name for the record if you're for or oppose the bill. Thank you so much.
My name is Dawn Watson, and I do oppose the bill. I'm a 52-year-old small business owner and mother and grandmother of 7 grandchildren. And for 20 years, I was prescribed extremely strong narcotics. I ended up in a pain clinic, prescribed 2 forms of morphine and the methadone pill form to take, all of those together. I was a basket case. I couldn't function. I couldn't hold my head up, and I was an embarrassment to my family. They couldn't take me in public because I couldn't stay awake. I was then prescribed narcolepsy medicine because the doctor then said, oh, well, you can't stay awake. Here's something to jack you up. Then they gave me Xanax to calm me back down. Well, my husband of 19 years passed away due to an addiction that his doctor prescribed him all these pain medicines. He died in front of our children. And my sister, same. My sister's daughter, same. I was remarried, and it was my husband's mission in life to get me off of all of that stuff. He watched a PBS special on SCE TV about kratom, and it was educating it, and it was so informative, and he told me about it after lots of research, and I began taking it. I got off of everything, and I went to the pain management clinic that I was going to and told them about the kratom and told them that I was doing so good that I was weaning down off of all of the prescription pills. And the doctor looked at me and said, you know what? It's people like you that are going to put us out of business. And he was not very happy with me. I never went back, and I'm on 0 prescriptions. And I'm highly functioning, and I don't think we're comparing apples to apples when we're talking about the 2 things. But I just take natural leaf kratom. So, and that's it.
Ms. Watson, thank you so much for your delightful testimony. Do you mind answering any questions that the members may have?
No.
And it seems like they were good. Thank you for being here today.
You go, girl.
Leslie Hall. No, Ms. Hall? Nope. How are you doing today? Good to see you again. If you don't mind stating your name for the record and whether you're for or against the bill, please.
My name's Leslie Hall, and I'm a resident of Lexington, South Carolina, as well as a cancer survivor.
Ms. Hall, you might want to scooch up just a little bit so we can hear you a little bit better.
Okay, I'm sorry. My name's Leslie Hall. I'm a resident of Lexington, South Carolina. I am a cancer survivor, a stroke survivor, as well as a chronic pain warrior who has undergone 4 failed spinal surgeries and over a dozen other surgeries, including a kidney removal and open heart surgery. I live with chronic pain every day that impacts every aspect of my daily life. I'm here to speak in strong support of kratom in South Carolina. For me, kratom has been a lifeline, unlike the many narcotic medications that have been prescribed for me by my team of doctors that have left me feeling groggy, forgetful, nauseous, unable to function due to the many side effects. Kratom has allowed me to maintain a quality of life that would otherwise be impossible. It allows me to actually manage and control my pain. I do understand that some people have concerns about kratom, but it is important to recognize that responsible, informed use is much different than abuse. For so many South Carolinians like myself, kratom provides relief where traditional prescription medication has failed. It allows us to live with dignity, stay active, and participate within our communities without being overwhelmed by side effects. Banning kratom would not only remove an important tool for managing pain, but would also force so many of us back onto medications that are less effective and have far more harmful side effects that require more medication to manage and make daily life almost impossible. I urge the committee today to consider the true benefits of kratom for people like myself who suffer with chronic debilitating pain and other serious medical conditions. South Carolina has this opportunity to lead with compassion, understanding, and reason. By keeping kratom legal, you give people like myself the ability to regain our dignity, independence, and hope. Thank you so much for your time.
Ms. Hall, thank you for being here. Do you mind answering any questions that they may have?
Not at all.
Ms. Hall, I appreciate you being here today, and I am sorry you've had such a tough time. Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you, sir.
And so now we have Mr. Ben Burchell. Burchell? It's the chemist. Yes.
So thank you for your time
First
today.
of all, do you mind just state your name, what you do, and if you're for or against the bill?
Absolutely, yes.
Thank you.
So I'm Ben Burkle. I am a pharmacognosist. I actually graduated from the South Carolina Governor's School for Science and Mathematics in 2019. I went to Northern Michigan University and got a degree in pharmacognosy in 2022. I actually orchestrated my own novel research.
That's a word I haven't heard. Do you mind explaining what a pharmacognosy?
Pharmacognosy, yes.
A pharmacologist or?
Pharmacognosy. So it is the field of natural drug discovery.
Thank you.
So essentially, before the pharmaceutical drugs came to market, they were all inspired by natural medications from medicinal plants. And this is kind of the first step of the pharmaceutical drug process.
Thank you for that.
Well, thank you. Yeah, so I'm speaking to oppose the bill. But essentially, I have thousands of hours, not only in the pharmaceutical industry, but also in alkaloid research. And I just want to define what kratom is scientifically. Now, I think Mr. Marvel did a great job. But essentially, it is a partial agonist to the opioid receptors. Now, I want to explain it in, I guess, a way that most people can understand what those chemistry jargon words mean. But essentially, a partial agonist is kind of like, compare it to a light switch versus a dimmer switch. So a full agonist would be like a light switch. You essentially bind the ligand to the receptor, a response is induced, and it is full effect. Versus a partial agonist is more like a dimmer switch. You kind of slowly induce that response or change the confrontation or conformation of the enzyme in some way, shape, or form, or receptor site. And what's very important about that is that because it is a partial agonist, it does have a ceiling effect. So it's not a full-blown response, and you can't just keep taking more and more and more and more and expect a, I guess, better experience is what some people chase after. But anyways, I want to also describe the partial agonist to well-known medications. So the mechanism is already well-known in medicines. And one of the medicines that they use is varenicline or Chantix, which is helps people stop smoking. It's a partial agonist to the nicotinic receptor. Another great example are atypical antipsychotics. Atypical antipsychotics like Abilify, for example, with people with bipolar disorder. It's a dopaminergic partial agonism, but essentially same thing, different system.
Just a quick question. You mentioned that you wouldn't have to keep compounding and adding more. That's everyone contrasts to the actual receptor being overloaded and not getting the same sensation from the axiom and the dendrite. Correct? Once it travels down the dendrite to the receptor. So after that has been filled and that sensation is not exactly as great as it once was, you're going to need more milligrams, more of the exciting or agonist product. Is that correct?
Not necessarily.
I would love for you to tell me how not, because that would basically beat addiction.
Correct.
If you could tell me, I'm talking about addiction straight across the board.
So,
if you have the way to make sure that the dependency on certain drugs because of their partial agonist nature, that would go very far in a lot of pharmaceutical corporations, actually.
absolutely. So, well, first of all, you got to define what addiction is exactly. So there's
all right. So I'm going to let you continue, but this is I don't want to belittle the people that may have be coming off addiction by trying to define addiction.
correct, and I understand the
This is, I believe
sensitivity
this
of
to be
that.
very personal to a lot of people, and I understand
Just
that
from
you're
a-
in support of it. I'm not. Excuse me.
Once again,
An addictive product.
Well,
But based on chemistry, also, by the way.
Yes,
If
based
we want
on-
to break it down to the chemistry part of it, then we can really talk about it because I know my stuff too. This is a very, very dependent subject because it helps off of, what's the receptor that it is? It's a mu opioid, right?
Correct.
Instead of the Nicotex or the other dendrite or ending that you were talking about with Chantix. So this mimics opiates. So that
in
the
a way,
same
yes.
characteristics, some of the things that have been found in these synthetics are fentanyl, morphine. So it is very lined up, alkaloids and alkalines, with heroin and methadone. Now, look, again, as I said at the beginning of the meeting, people that have come to this by ways of addiction, I champion you for trying to get off of a better way of life. But I'm going to have a tough time listening here because I've seen it ruin people's lives. You tell me that people can't get addicted to it because it's a partial agonist.
So that's not exactly what I'm saying. No, sir.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is it acts atypically. So you're trying to compare it to a full agonist, which is going to have a much stronger response in that neurochemical system, versus a partial agonist is not going to have that strong of a response. So it's not going to induce a feeling as strong as something as, let's say, heroin, which is the direct agonist that would essentially bring the dopamine and, all the good, feel-good neurotransmitters up in the brain. It's not going to respond in that same manner. It doesn't even have the same downstream effects.
But it still has the effect. It binds to the receptor, correct?
no,
Partially.
doesn't bind.
Okay, partially.
It tickles
And that
it.
partial binding is then needed to increase over time.
So if your body's going to build a tolerance to any drug, correct? So you will have to increase the dose of any drug to get the same effects.
Look, no argument here. But then also, once the dependency on it with no real medical, AMA approved or FDA approved use, and withdrawal symptoms. Those are 1, 2, 3 of Schedule I drugs. They are 1, 2, 3 heroin. No, they're just not going to be punished like heroin. Morphine, Oxycontin, fentanyl, morphine. Same characteristics.
Not the same characteristics.
Not exactly the same characteristics, because then if it was, then it would be that product, right? This is a different natural product, and I completely understand that, and I completely understand that the synthetics and the alkaloids do get manipulated. The derivatives get manipulated. But even to say that it's on its natural basis, that it doesn't bind to any receptor that would cause any more dependency on that drug is a little suspect. That is just based on my personal opinion on doing the research here.
Absolutely, and I respect your opinion.
And I respect your opinion as well. But I don't want to downplay the people that have a tough time dealing with this product, that may want to get off this product.
Right, and people can abuse anything, right? We don't want to downplay anybody's hardship, absolutely not. And what I was going to get to eventually is that, that's why we need a regulated market, which is what a lot of these fine people have said already today. But essentially, I was just trying to explain it in a way that might make a little more sense. So it's just atypical in its mannerism. So you can't compare like traditional opiates to an atypical one because it's like comparing apples to oranges type deal. But anyways, let me get back to it. What I could see is especially like the Chantix, for example, getting people off of smoking. Kratom could easily be used instead of like Suboxone and stuff of that nature, actually in addiction clinics.
Do you mind sticking with Kratom per se? I understand the compare contrast to some other products. Really appreciate it.
Yes, but I was saying Kratom could be used to treat addictions off of traditional opiates in the same way that these other drugs that work atypically do. But also I'd like to get to the point too, historically at least, when has prohibition ever really stopped all harm? It hasn't. I mean, look throughout history, all the way from alcohol prohibition. It has just opened up an illegal, unregulated market where bad actors can come in and actually cause more harm than good. But regardless, I just think that, and one more thing I'd like to point with the regulation point, at least, is that with regulation, see, back, 20, 30, 40 years ago, in an analytical laboratory, we did not have advanced instrumentation. It was still in its infancy stage. With today's technology and our advanced analytical instrumentation, HPLC mass spec, for example, you can actually go in and go down to the exact part per billion even of how much alkaloid is in a product or a plant matrix or anything of that nature.
And you could also manipulate that, correct?
So if it's a third-party analytical laboratory certified, it would be hard to get past an audit in a laboratory setting like that and alter data, if that's what you're suggesting.
No, I'm not suggesting that. I'm just suggesting that any product that comes from a natural source can be derived to purport something else as well, actually the 7-OH or 7-hydroxy, right? You can derivative of the natural kratom with some of these other binding agents, taking that is causing some of the more psychoactive elements to the drug, correct?
Correct.
All right.
And you see that throughout a lot of different medicinal plants.
Yes, I definitely agree with you on that.
Yes, so of course they can extract it, isolate it, purify it, and then turn it into something way worse, just as coca was turned into cocaine.
Illegal.
Yes, which is illegal, exactly. But I'm saying that bad actors can come in and make a perfectly fine medicinal plant a problem with these modifications to the natural profile.
That's what I think I was trying to say. I think we were trying to say the same thing.
Okay,
I agree.
gotcha. But yes, essentially, we get modern analytical testing behind this, and we can go batch to batch exactly what the plant constituents are. So you harvest the kratom plant, you actually dry it, you cure it, and then you prepare it for sale. You can take each batch of that and you can analytically test it down to the part per billion, exactly how much alkaloid and what different type of alkaloids are within it via analytical standards. And then you can implement that and essentially regulate the market.
Do you mind answering any questions that my members may have?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Can you give me your name again, sir?
Ben Brickle.
Brickle?
Brickle, B-R-I-C-K-L-E.
Okay. Mr. Brickle, I really appreciate your testimony today. I don't know about my other colleagues, but I have not made up my mind. And so I am open. I am listening to everything that is being said. I'm paying attention to those of you who have taken the time to come and see us in this committee and talk to us about how you feel and the data and all of that has been presented to us today. Personally, I have a PhD in health sciences, and I just don't believe that we can just go off the cuff or by personal feelings. I'm very much into data and empirical-based data. And so I appreciate the background that you bring to us and anybody else that has done so. I have not made up my mind yet, but I am going to look at what the data says. I have before me, shall I say, the committee we have before us, some data here from various doctors from various medical schools who have weighed in on this issue. And so I have to tell you that I am not going to be going upon what my feelings are, what my prior thoughts are, but I'm basically going to be going upon what's been presented to us, and I'm going to look at the empirical data. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you, Mrs. Myers.
Thank you for your time.
Journey Davis. So we got 3 left, and Mrs. Landing needs to be out of here by 2. So if we could try to honestly keep it to 3 minutes, and that will keep us on track. Ms.
I'll make
Davis.
it quick. I know we're
you will.
hungry.
Thank you so much for being here. I really thank you for being here.
Hello. I'd like to start off by saying thank you guys for giving us the time today. My name is Journey Davis, and I'm an event coordinator. I struggled with social anxiety and finding my way as a 17-year-old who was introduced to drugs entirely too soon. Sorry. I found out about Kratom through a friend of mine, and he took me to a gas station where he had usually purchased his products. I trusted the friend, so I trusted the substances that we were purchasing, but I had not yet done extensive research on the difference between synthetic Kratom and natural Kratom leaf products. I used products like Feel Free specifically for about 2 months, and I had experimented with some similar products, but they were synthetic products. And the effects were incredibly similar to the opiates that I had previously been addicted to. I truly wanted to better my life and be a better person for the people around me. So I began to research Kratom and natural Kratom leaf as opposed to synthetic Kratom products. I found a few places locally that valued quality above all else for their consumers and had my first experience with natural Kratom leaf drinks. My experience with these products was a complete 180 in comparison to the products that I had used previously, the synthetic products. And at this point in my life, I am 5 going on 6 years sober with a community that's rallied behind me, educated me on the products, and really made it clear that they are encouraging my sobriety journey and want me to continue that. I use Kratom products regularly, but if I'm being entirely honest, I am more addicted to caffeine than I am to Kratom products. If I don't have a Red Bull in the first hour of my day, everybody's going to be grumpy.
Ms. Davis, you should stop doing those. It's not good for your liver.
I know. One problem at a time.
I understand.
I hope that you see me today as someone who's put the work in and is actively working on turning their life around. And rather than banning Kratom as a whole, we choose to focus on regulation and education. Together in doing this, we have the opportunity to save more lives than just mine and also leave natural Kratom accessible and optional to those who would like to use it. I'm asking you today to vote against H4641 and focus more on regulation and terminating the use of synthetic Kratom products, not natural crush leaf products. Thank you, guys.
Ms. Davis, first of all, thank you so much for being here. Never a problem if you get choked up there. I got choked up when I was talking earlier, so don't worry about it. I appreciate your bravery for being here and for your testimony. Do you mind answering any questions that members may have?
Not at all.
Scot-free.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Brad Rubright? I remember. How you doing, sir?
You remember me?
Yes, sir. Good to see you again. And look, I understand. I'm only because Mrs. Lanning needs to kind of leave here soon. If someone else still wants to talk to me after the meeting, I'm more than willing to hear more of your testimony, if that's okay. But
I should be pretty short.
Perfect. Thanks so much.
Yep. So I'm Brad Rubright. I'm both a consumer and a business owner in this industry. I do express my opposition to any legislation that would ban Kratom. As a business owner and member of the community, I have believed such a policy would have unintended consequences that ultimately harm consumers, businesses, and actual adult public safety. Kratom is widely used by adults as an alternative to very harmful substances, including alcohol and opioids. Many individuals rely on it for personal wellness, discomfort management, and part of their efforts to move away from more dangerous dependencies. Eliminating access to Kratom would not eliminate demand. It would instead push to the illicit markets that we're very well aware of, increasing overall risk than actually eliminating it. A ban would remove regulatory oversight, eliminate quality control, and create a marketplace where products are untested and potentially unsafe. Currently, responsible retailers provide products that are labeled, sourced from reputable manufacturers, supported by certificate of analysis. A ban would simply eliminate the oversight for consumer safety. Rather than prohibition, we are proven regulatory frameworks already in place. The Kratom Consumer Protection Act models implemented. Several states established age restrictions, require product testing, and product adulterated or synthetic products. These protect consumers while allowing consumer responsible businesses to operate. The economic impact, of course, there are hundreds of businesses here in South Carolina, tens of thousands of consumers. It's important to recognize that Kratom is not the equivalent to alcohol or controlled substance. It is not produced near the same level of impairment and is commonly used in moderation by adults. For many, it represents a safer alternative and a step away from more harmful behaviors. Consumers are clearly seeking alternatives. The demand for non-alcoholic, plant-based options continues to grow. The Kratom is part of that shift. Removing access disregards consumer choice, and many adults intentionally select as a better alternative. As I said, I'm a consumer and a business owner. I'm a consumer for many years now, a business owner for almost a decade in this industry. Basically, I do a vape and a non-alcoholic bar hybrid. I consume Kratom. I don't consume it because I have pain or anything like that yet. Probably not the typical reasons. I consume just for the social aspect. It keeps me away from alcohol. It's a much better overall feeling than alcohol. I've never been in rehab. I've never considered it. Don't know what to tell you on that side. Not that I'm sure there are addictions out there for certain products, and depending on who you are, certain people have addiction to caffeine, to alcohol, to sweet treats, to shopping. Hoarding is an addiction too. So.
Brad, thank you so much for your testimony. And you know where I am. You can always find me in my office, and you can call me as well. I'm always happy to further discuss these matters with you. I thank you for your testimony. These two are questioning each other, so thank you for your testimony today.
Appreciate it.
Joel Whitehead. Yes, no, maybe so. Oh, she's coming? Oh, did I mispronounce your name? I don't think I can get stronger reading glasses, but I might have to look into it. We've got we got J.J. Jones with the City Police Chiefs last, and Ms. Whitehead, if you don't mind stating your full name and for or against, and we are really up against the clock. I know that it's not fair to try to ask you to be shorter than everybody else, but if you could be brevity would be appreciated.
Yes, sir, I understand, and thank you for allowing me to speak. I apologize, the pollen's getting to me too, so, and I have never felt so short as standing behind this. So my name is JL Whitehead. I'm an attorney. I'm currently a solicitor, and I need to emphasize I am here on my own accord. I do not speak on behalf of my office, my boss. My views are my own and not representative. I took a personal day off to make sure there's absolutely no mixing between my work and my being here, my personal advocacy. But I am a solicitor. I've been a solicitor for 4 years. I was a public defender for 8 years. I was in private practice for a little while. I was also a private investigator for a little while. I'm originally from Possum Kingdom, South Carolina. I grew up in church doing mission trips. doing everything I could to serve others. I majored in political science and theology at Lee University before coming here to go to law school at the University of South Carolina. So since it's pollen, man. Since I graduated, again, I've worked in various aspects, primarily in the, criminal prosecution or criminal defense side of the law. While doing that, though, me personally, I have dealt with a lot of medical issues. Like I believe there was another speaker who has Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. I have that as well. I have arthropibrosis, which means that any kind of injury that I get packs my joint or the area with scar tissue. There's no cure for it. There's really no treatment for it, just like with EDS. I have complex regional pain syndrome. If you don't know anything about that, it means that my body believes there's trauma when there is none. It's usually in response to something like a surgery or whatever, but it's chronic. It means that basically it's like my body thinks there's still a surgery ongoing, even though there's nothing. So I get lots of pain, swelling. Again, there's no cure for it. I have other conditions. I won't bore you with all of that. I've had 9 surgeries in the last almost 15 years, and I've got another torn muscle in my hip. So particularly while I was working as a public defender was when I started really having all of these surgeries. I ended up in pain management because doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. I was on various opioids. I think I've tried just about every different opioid that there is to try. I got to a point because growing up I played softball until I had an injury that prevented me from playing. Then I played rugby in college until I had an injury. In law school I found CrossFit, loved it. Got me off of the depression medication I had been on since I was like 15 years old. It made a big difference in my life, but again, injury. So now I'm back to having these surgeries. I went through a period where I was depressed, I was suicidal, I was being put on bed rest all the time. I decided to stop opioids just to see. I said, hey, maybe if I just stop and try to go back, maybe I can fix this myself. Of course, I went through the withdrawals and everything that people who are dependent and have addiction go through. That's when I found Kratom initially. My brother had been, previously had been an opioid addict himself. He broke his neck when he was, I believe, 18, 19 years old. I might be wrong about the exact age, but somewhere around that time he broke his neck. Of course, was put on painkillers, developed a severe addiction. He came to USC, ended up having to leave, go to rehab, came back, had to leave, go to rehab, went through a lot. We weren't sure we were going to have him around much longer. He ran into a friend who he had previously, I think they maybe bought from the same dealer on the street, who was working.
Ms. Whitehead, I appreciate the story. I really do. If we could, we're trying to really cram it all in here. If we could get to
okay.
the
I'm
point.
going to move on then. I guess the point with that is just that it saved my brother's life, and it has made me able to function. I went from being put on bed rest constantly, not only able to function, I mean, I'm a practicing attorney. I have 2 kids. I coach my daughter's softball team. I could not have done that without Kratom. I do want to, because I am an attorney, so data is very important to me as well. It's also important as to what I put in my body. I've put together packets of information that I can hand up.
We got a lawyer on
Let me make sure that gets published to the committee.
So the first page that you'll see is a spreadsheet. I know there's been a lot of talk about where data comes from. This data comes directly from the CDC and the South Carolina Department of Public Health. As you'll see on there, and with just the short amount of time I had to put this together, these were the years I was able to get the data for. As you can see, in 2023, there were 5,134 non-fatal overdose cases that were reported by the South Carolina Department of Public Health. Of those 5,134, there were 92 where mitragynine was detected, not necessarily the sole thing, just 92 where it was detected at all. That accounts for 2% of the total for that year. It was co-occurring in 82 cases. Of those 92, there were only 10, which accounts for 0.19% in 2023. You can see in 2024, the overdoses actually go down, as do the total number of cases involving mitragynine, for 1.8% that year, and for mitragynine alone, 0.4%. 2025, the data's
Ms.
only
Whitehead,
available.
we can read our information for us. We don't need to go through all of
Sure.
this. I am so sorry.
gotcha.
Again, I really want to hear what you have to say, but I'm trying to make sure that we can get to our last person to testify.
Sure.
And there's an amendment evidently, and we've got somebody that needs to get out of here. So
I understand.
you don't mind trying to wrap up, please?
Sure. So the other thing that you have in your packet there, and this is my proposal, obviously I oppose, as you can tell, I oppose the ban. There's a lot of things other people have said that I agree with as far as it's not going to go away, it's just going to become more dangerous. What I have put in here is that I'm proposing is that the Kratom Consumer Protection Act be expanded and modeled off of Utah. I've put their statutes and some of their regulatory schemes in there. There's a lot of oversight. It requires registration of every single product that's sold. There's actually a list. So if there's a retailer who is selling
Ms.
something
Whitehead,
that's not on the list.
I appreciate, and I promise you, I promise you, I will definitely read through this. Again, I'm trying to make sure that we can
Sure.
get to everybody.
I gotcha. So the point is, that is my proposal, as opposed to a total ban that I think is going to be more dangerous, including for veterans, people like myself, practicing attorneys. I will also, I just say that in my practice as a public defender and as a solicitor, again, not speaking on behalf of my office, but just what I have personally seen in the entire, I've been practicing since 2013 in those capacities, and I can count on one hand the number of times I've seen Kratom come up in a case. And that one time was where a gentleman was sitting in a vehicle at a gas station. He was previously an opioid addict who apparently had relapsed. Law enforcement saw in the car there was Kratom, didn't know what it was. That is the only time in my entire, 13 years of practicing in criminal that I've ever seen Kratom come up. So I'm not seeing it as something that is involved in crimes, causing crimes. I have seen clients that I've had get clean using it.
Ms. Whitehead, I thank you so much. I appreciate your testimony. I really do, and I'm trying not to cut you off, but
Sure.
you keep going over and over
I
and over.
understand.
Okay? Look, I've practiced almost 20 years. I've seen Kratom at least 10 times since 2007. Not to dismiss anything. Luckily, in your area, one time, that's fantastic. If you don't mind answering any questions,
Sure.
Anybody? I do very much appreciate your testimony, and I'm so sorry. I'm not trying to cut you off or anything, but we've got one other person testify and need to get to him so that we can try to wrap up our
And I would
meeting.
just, if it's possible in the future for these, if there's more notice, my brother would have really liked to have been here, but of course, with only 24 hours notice,
Well,
that just wasn't enough.
That's our
so.
rule, but we did a meeting last week and this week as well.
No, I understand. Just a personal request, that's all.
You got it, Ms. Whitehead. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much. J.J. Jones, for City Police Chiefs.
Thank you,
Same
Chairman
thing to
Britton.
you.
I will be quick, I assure you. My name is J.J. Jones, and I'm the Executive Director for the South Carolina Law Enforcement Officers Association and the South Carolina Police Chiefs Association. I represent 7,000 police officers in our state and 315 chiefs of police and assistant chiefs. I'm here to speak in support of the passage of this bill, and I'm here to give you a background of where I came and why I stand here. I was a street cop for 26 years in Lexington County and here in Casey. 6 of those years, I spent them as an undercover drug agent throughout Lexington County, enforcing them with crack, methamphetamine, cocaine, and heroin. Those were our primary drugs that we fought. That's changed over the years. It's changed a lot. We see a lot more synthetics. We see a lot more drugs that are available to everybody in grocery stores and gas stations, and that's one of the reasons I'm here to talk about Kratom today. I do want to share with you, before I go any further, that the sympathy I have for some of the folks that I've heard speak before me. My heart does go out to them for the suffering, despair, and addiction is not an easy fight, and my prayers are with them in this tough time. Some of the testimony, though, that I've heard about Kratom not being abused, I've seen firsthand how Kratom has hurt people in my county, in my state. The desperation is being exacerbated by a man-made substance that they're making money on. It may have started as a leaf at one time, just like many other drugs that we've seen, cocaine, heroin. They did start as God-given substances, but they've been altered. And I think that's what we're seeing with Kratom today. And I heard firsthand, money is at stake. Well, I hate that money is at stake for anybody, but one life in South Carolina, one overdose, to me, is worth me standing here and telling you why it's a dangerous substance. Kratom is dangerous. I have seen it firsthand in Lexington. I mean, I could paint 100 terrible stories of drug abuse, addiction, and, you know, despair from families. But Kratom's hurting people in South Carolina, and we need to pass this bill to regulate it and to get it off of shelves. We have to do something about it. I've seen it firsthand. I was in, well, I'm gonna paint a picture real quick because I know we gotta go. But I was walking in the Food Line after leaving here about 3 months ago, downtown Lexington, right? We call it the bedroom of Columbia. That's where all the people go to live happy lives. As I was walking in the Food Line to go buy some basic needs that my wife gave me, I was approached by a young lady who said, hey, I need some money. And this is at 4:30 on the afternoon, on Thursday afternoon in Lexington. I'm like, well, how can I help you? I could buy food for you. I can give you water. I'll give you help. What do you need? I'm a police officer. She goes, we got to buy Kratom. I got to get it now. And I said, ma'am, I can't give you money for that. I said, I'll take you anywhere you need. I'll take you to the sheriff's office, police station. I'll call EMS. I'll give you food, water, whatever you need. I'll go buy you a meal. I said, but we're not going to buy Kratom today. The last thing she said to me when I told her no, she said, I'll do anything for you for this money. That broke my heart. That woman, she didn't know me. She'd never seen me before. She's dropped to that level to try to get Kratom in a parking lot in Lexington. That's what we're facing. That's what some of the street cops are seeing on the road. And I hate that.
Once again, the technical difficulties are on their video
We got to
stream,
do
not
something
mine.
about it. I did hear one last thing, and I'm going to get out of your hair. I heard glazing over deaths. Well, Vincent Logan bought Kratom in Myrtle Beach in 2023, and he died. He's no longer with us. We're facing it, and I hope we can find a way to help these people that are using it. Maybe we can find alternative methods. I don't know. One thing I'm not is a scientist. I'm not a doctor. I'm a street cop. And I can just tell you it's negatively affecting South Carolina streets. On behalf of the South Carolina police chiefs and the 7,000 law enforcement officers that I represent, know that we're in support of this bill. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have, but I will make sure you understand I'm not a doctor and I'm not a psychologist.
Thank you, JJ.
My pleasure.
Is there any questions that the committee may have? All right. So, thank you so much. JJ.
Yes, sir.
I call BS. Man, these technical difficulties. This is getting on my nerves. So is his testimony.
Which currently H4641, and instead replace it with H4648, which makes it unlawful for a processor Kratom that it and also unlawful for the preparation, manufacture, distribution, or dispensing or sell any Kratom product that's adulterated with a dangerous non-Kratom substance.
I can't hear nothing they saying.
Otherwise harmful non-Kratom ingredient, and contains a fully synthetic alkaloid, including but not limited to synthetic mitragynine, synthetic 7-hydroxymitragynine, or any other synthetically derived compound of the plant, or that contains levels of residual solvents higher than the standard set forth in Chapter 467 of the U.S. Pharmacopoeia National Formulary, or does not meet the labeling requirements established pursuant to Section 4453/2030, and that a regulation be promulgated to implement the provisions of that section.
Just to put on the record, this would alter it not to ban all Kratom, but to ban synthetics. Just so everyone, there's a clear understanding here. Is there any discussion on the amendment?
Oh.
I'd like to just say a couple quick things. One is This has been a very difficult experience today. I know all of you feel that way, and I appreciate what everybody has said and done here today. I have personally some background in this and some understanding, a Bachelor of Science in Biology from Duke, which included 2 semesters of organic chemistry that I did pass, and an advanced biochemistry, which was a graduate level course that I did very well in. And I only bring that up because I'm not a doctor, but I do have some understanding about how the body works and how chemicals work. And what I also have respect for, great respect, is for Dr. Marty McCary and his work. So I did look up what was referenced earlier on that and why the FDA is talking more about the natural plant versus more likely regulation or banning the synthetics. Having said that, I do not personally believe we have enough information today as this small part of the Judiciary Committee, much less a very small subset of the House, to be putting this big, this may be a very good amendment, but I think it needs more work and time because I even mentioned this to Representative Henderson Myers. If this is the right way to go, I would need a lot more information. I would not feel comfortable voting on behalf of this amendment today. So I plan to not vote on the amendment, not because I'm totally against it, but because I think it's too soon and we have some time before this would go to the full judiciary.
Is that a motion to table?
Right, I'll make it a motion to table then, yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
The ayes have it. The amendment is tabled. So we're now on the bill. Well, any further discussion on the bill? So I too believe that this is a decision that is right for the full committee for their input as well. So, Mr. Jensen, if you, no, we don't call the vote, do we? No, actually, if you don't mind calling the vote, last name first.
Chairman Britton,
Yes.
Representative Henderson Myers,
No.
Representative Landing,
Aye.
Representative Luck, Representative McCravy not voting. By a vote of 3-1, the bill receives a favorable report.
The bill will move to full committee at a date later to be set. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And again, I reemphasize the fact that if it's addiction, if it's pain, please seek anything you can. And you, not turn your backs on you. Please find me if you need me. I hope everyone has a great Easter weekend. Thank you.
Okay, so it seems like they're okay. So they voted yes to go to full committee, but they tabled the amendment because they want to research it further. I think they should revive the amendment. I do not support 7OH. If you're new here, I don't support 7OH. Yeah, so it looks like it's going to have to go to the full committee. I'm confused too, Adam, but from my limited understanding on how these legislation hearings work, they tabled the amendment which would have banned synthetics. But the banned bill is going to go to full committee. Yeah, correct, Mike. It's not a win. They moved the ban. They killed me amendment because they want it banned. Probably, yeah. Yeah. So I don't know when the full committee hearing will happen, but that chair dude, man, he just, something rubs me the wrong way with him. I don't know if the amendment will be discussed at the committee, at the full committee. I don't know. Yeah, they're not voting on it right now. They voted to move it to full committee. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna end this stream. Thank y'all for watching. I am so impressed. I am so amazed and impressed with everybody that testified. I will never judge somebody that testifies because it is nerve-wracking to get up there and do that. But I tell you what, after you're done testifying, you get high from testifying. Are they going to ban testimony now? You know, it's an amazing feeling to do that. Yeah, he is an asshole. It's almost like he's I don't know. It's like he wants to be right all the time. What's next will be it going to the full committee. So we don't know when the date of that will happen, but they'll discuss the ban in a full committee. But they tabled the amendment. So what I found out was that when the South Carolina KCPA was passed last year, the 708 drug dealers put their foot in it and was able to get the 2% cap limit out of the KCPA. That's why that one guy was able to move his business to South Carolina, his 708 business there. I don't know what company he's got. I don't even care. The only thing I care about is what he's producing is causing mass destruction. So they were the 708 people got billions. They have billions of dollars, and they throw a lot of money to these legislatures. So they were able to remove the I don't know if it was 1% cap limit or 2% cap limit in last year's Kratom Consumer Protection Act, but somehow, some way, it got removed. I don't know when South Carolina legislation ends. I have a hard enough time keeping up with all the other 49 states. We're all worried about Tennessee. We're worried about Tennessee and Kansas, and now Kentucky. The amendment doesn't have an advancement, but the Kratom ban bill does. It's going to the full committee. Illinois, we got 2 KCPA, the good one KCPA, and then, yeah. Support the good KCPA in Illinois. Don't support the 708 KCPA. Laura says that the South Carolina session ends May 7th. I don't know what the odds are on it banning in South Carolina. If you're moving there, I don't know. I don't know what the odds are, because that chair dude seems like he's all for a ban. And for anybody that's not familiar with how all this legislation is popping off, it's popping off because of the destruction of, Kratom or 708 piggybacking off of Kratom's namesake, and people go to the ER, people go to addiction treatment, people call them poison control. They're actually consuming a 708 product, but because the 708 industry keeps calling it Kratom, they're calling in or going to these ERs and stuff saying that they're having an adverse event from Kratom. And that's the legislation has been popping off like this because of 708. There's no ifs, ands, buts, or about it. In all my years of advocacy, we follow the trends. The uptick in all this negative publicity is because of 708. Laura, Mila is asking, could this die simply because they won't have enough time to get to it before end of session? Laura Romney Smith is the perfect person to ask that stuff. Green Mangdal would be like my second favorite. My first favorite and first love is Green Melee. Okay, so Laura says yes to that question about where to go. Hold on. Y'all's comments are coming in so fast. So Laura says yes to this question that, This person's asking, could this die simply because they won't have enough time to get to it before the end of session? So Laura says yes. Depends on how fast they move it through. There's plenty of time still, unfortunately. That's what Laura's saying. I cannot stress how important it is to advocate. Y'all need to advocate. If you want to be involved with advocacy, send your name, city, and state to laura@plantsandherbals.org. Laura@plantsandherbals. Oh, let me see if I got the thing up. Hold on. Let me go find it. So y'all can write this down. Dang it, you can hardly see that. Screenshot that. Right there. Laura@plantsandherbals.org. Get involved with advocacy. Hey, Jeff. Hey, Amy. I know we need, I don't know what, if anything is going to happen in Indiana. I know that the AKs had trouble getting the KCPA there because of the Sheriff's Association. Yeah, as we were watching this hearing, y'all, the Idaho ban bill died. So I'm waiting for the AKA to post up something or send out an email blast about that or what have you, but the ban bill in Idaho died. The KCPA also died. So that means another year of freaking destruction. I don't think the Davenport bill in Tennessee will die. I don't have a good feeling about Tennessee. Yes, that's the correct email address, Amanda. Thank you for putting that in there. So if you guys want to get involved with advocacy, send your name, city, and state to Laura. Laura@plantsandherbals.org. Screenshot this screen right here. Because we need more people, man. We need more people big time. I don't have an update on Iowa. I don't know what the heck is going on in Iowa. We would all love to see the Kratom ban lifted in Indiana, Wisconsin, Alabama, Arkansas, Vermont, now Louisiana, now Connecticut. Rhode Island overturned their ban yesterday. So if you live in Rhode Island, you can now officially order Kratom. I don't know when they'll start being in the shops or if Kratom businesses are going to go open up shops there, but huge 708 distributor in Idaho. I didn't see that mug at the hearings. There was a ton of hearings in Idaho. Okay, I'm going to end this stream because I have got to go to, I got to go pee. When you're a Kratom consumer, you got to stay hydrated, and staying hydrated means you got to go pee. And I was sitting here watching this hearing the whole time, and I got to pee. So you guys have a great night or great afternoon, great night. I don't know when we'll live stream again, but we will. Jen and I will live stream again. Oh, what's up, Ben? I remember meeting you on Facebook. I got banned on Facebook in June of last year, so I remember seeing you over there. But what's up? Okay, I gotta go.